this book is a mess. Look how messy it is. You know why it's messy? Because I love this book. And you know when you read a book over and over and over and over again, that is a sign that you really, what the words say inside are really important. So the words in here are really important. I started reading this book when my oldest son was probably about your age, maybe a little younger. And guess how old he is now? He's 23 years old. Yeah. Miss Sharon is almost as old as he is.
I'm a huge fan of WRAG.
Yeah, just remember, light the night, don't watch, say you watch up with that. And this little girl right here is from Nancy. Can you believe that? I like having children so much, I just kept on and on. Yeah, so guess how many children I have?
14.
Oh, 17 sounds like it.
100.
Oh,
43.
Okay.
Feels like 43 sometimes, especially when you pay the college bills. But this book is all about, and I know that some of you guys already know how lucky you are, right? But this book is for those days when you don't feel so good. You wake up, maybe you stayed up too late and you're tired and you're not sure you want to go to school, or there's nothing on. Maybe it's a Saturday and there's nothing to do at home, and maybe mom and daddy are really busy, and you feel like there's nobody to play with, and so boring. Nobody will take me to the park. Do you ever have those kind of days? Every once in a while. Well, when you're a grown-up, you will, trust me. But, so this book is for those kind of days. It's all about knowing that whatever you're going to do that day, you are so lucky. I promise I'm going to read it. You want me to stop talking? Yeah. Okay. I hear that a lot at home. Okay. Who's heard of Dr. Seuss? Has anybody heard of Dr. Seuss? I love Dr. Seuss. So, pardon the way this book looks. The reason it's so messy is because I have read this for years, and I really think it's got some important words in it, okay? So, did I ever tell you how lucky you are? When I was quite young, can everybody see the pictures? I believe picture. Can you see okay? I believe picture. I tell you what, why don't you scoot in a little bit? I know your teachers tell you don't touch anybody. Okay. When I was quite young and quite small for my size, and if you have a problem seeing, you just scoot in, okay? Deal? And quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dries, and he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet. He sat in a terrible, prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. Would you like to sit there? Oh, it feels so good, wouldn't it? But why is he so happy? Well, here's why. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, Ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more, ever so much more, much more unlucky than you. Be glad you don't work on the Bungle Bung Bridge. Look at that. That they're building across Boober Bay at Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful, a whole heaping lot, for the people and places you're lucky you're not. Just suppose you were poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his thrombibulator apart. Do you have a thrombibulator? Well, don't take it apart if you get one, okay? Because guess what happens when you take it apart? He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the gick or the goor fits into the scrux or the snucks or the snore. Yes, Ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbie Hart, who has taken his thrombibulator apart. Think they work you too hard? Think of poor Allie Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quick growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all that his stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in that hay is the pitiless pay of 2 ducats a day. And Allie can't live on such pitiless pay. So he has to paint flagpoles on Sundays in Graz. How lucky you are that you don't, I'm sorry, in Grooves. How lucky the eyes start to go when you're my age, okay? Let me try that again. He has to paint flagpoles on Sundays in Grooves. How lucky you are you don't fit in his shoes. Does that look fun? No. And poor Mr. Bix, every morning at 6, Mr. Bix has his Borfin to fix. It doesn't seem fair, it just doesn't seem right, but his Borfin just seems to go schlump. Can everybody go schlump for me? Here's how you go schlump. Schlump. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Schlump. Just hold that schlump. And just imagine if you had a Borfin that went schlump every night. It schlumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unschlump it, and then the night air comes back and it schlumps once again. Can you imagine? So don't you feel blue. Don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a Borfin that schlumps. And while we're at it, consider the schlots, the crumple-horned, web-footed, green-bearded schlots whose tail is entailed in unsolvable knots. Look at that. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. And you're lucky indeed that you don't ride a camel. See the camel? This camel is something extra. You are lucky indeed that you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whammel. A whammel, you know, is a sort of a saddle, held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And boy, this is my very favorite part, so listen to this. This is important. Okay, you ready? And boy, if your old whammel faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, Ducky, you're gone like a goose. Can you imagine if your whammel faddle gets loose? And look where you... It's really important. You just remember, you keep your whammel faddle in place and you'll be fine. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-dotter, he has to cross T's and he has to dot I's in an I&T factory out in Van Nuys. Oh, the jobs people work out west near Hodge Hodge, there's a Hodge Hodger bee watcher. His job is to watch, is to keep both his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched, but in spite of his watch, that bee didn't work any harder. Not much. So then somebody said, our old bee watching man just isn't bee watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another Hodge Hodger. The thing that we need is a bee watcher. So, look at these guys. What do you think they are? Bee watchers. Very good. See what happens when you don't show up? See? The bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well, so another Hodge Hodger had to come in as a watcher. And today all the Hodgers who live in Hodge Hodge are watching on watching the watcher who's watching that bee. You're not a Hodge watcher. You're lucky. I am. I am very thankful I'm not a Hodge watcher. Yeah. And how fortunate you're not Professor DeVries, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. You see? I don't want to hear any complaints when you're in high school about algebra class, okay? Because look at this, you could have to teach Irish ducks to speak Javanese. That doesn't sound too easy, does it? See, things are looking up, is my point. And think of the poor puffing Pugelhorn players who have to parade down the Pugelhorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Puboken. It's awful how often their pugels get broken. And oh, just suppose you were poor Harry Hatto. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. Look! How sad is that? Well, you know why you can't see a shadow? Because his name's Harry Hatto and he can't make one. Have you ever made a shadow?
I haven't made a shadow.
Well, not right now, but tomorrow on the playground, you look and you see if everybody makes a shadow.
On the wall.
Yes, you can. See how sad would it be if you couldn't make a shadow? So that's what Harry Hatto has to deal with. He thinks that perhaps something's wrong with his jizz, and I think that by golly there probably is. So tomorrow on the playground, if the sun is out, everybody try to make a shadow, okay? And check and make sure your jizz is okay. Okay? I'm serious, you think I'm joking. If anybody here has a jizz problem, I will bring my TV cameras back up here and we'll record on it, okay? So there you go. And the brothers Bazoo, the four brothers Bazoo, suppose your hair grew like theirs happens to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you that some people are muchly, oh ever so muchly more unlucky than you. You see what the problem with their hair is? What's the problem with their hair? Could you imagine?
They stick together.
Every day when they go to work, their boss has to come and clip their hair in between there so they can get apart.
That's why they stick together.
And aren't they unlucky? Imagine if you two had to stick together all day.
I can't stick my head. Somebody.
I know. I told you you're lucky. See?
I'm not lucky.
And suppose, oh, this one's another. This is Abby's favorite part, isn't it? Used to be. And suppose that you lived in that forest in France where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plant. The plant eats pants. But your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy. And you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I? And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladdish that you're not Farmer Falkenberg's 17th radish. Anybody have any ideas why you don't want to be that 17th radish? Why?
That's because you don't want to be a radish.
Well, you don't want to be this radish because look what's about to happen to that radish.
Just like, no, it's growing up.
Well, it's growing, but look who's coming to get it.
Go.
Let me come closer.
Can I see?
It's a worm.
A worm.
See that 17th radish.
Can I see? No, you ready? A worm. I want to get it. Hey, Sophie,
And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Gronk. Gronk is rather run down. And you're so lucky you're not a left sock left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc. Thank goodness for all the things you are not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some hunkerish place like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. Aren't you feeling lucky right now? I know. I am. That's why I say ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh ever so much more unlucky.
It's finished.
It is finished. Okay, who wants to slump again? Okay, come on, the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, slump.
Ah, you're good schlumpers. Yay. Thank you.